If you've ever felt stuck in your weight loss journey, like no matter what you do, you keep hitting the same frustrating plateau, this episode is for you. You've probably heard of the weight set point theory, the idea that our bodies are programmed to stay within a certain weight range. Well, there might be some truth to that biologically. After 20 years, though, of working with mindset and weight release, I've seen firsthand that the biggest weight set points aren't in your body, they're in your mind. Today, we're breaking down 6 powerful mental weight set points, those sneaky beliefs and habits that keep us stuck in cycles of weight loss and regain. And more importantly, I am going to show you how to break through them so you can keep moving forward on your journey to lasting weight mastery. So if you're ready to shift your mindset, take control, and finally move beyond those invisible limits, let's get started. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the thin thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Sound good? Let's get started. Hello and come on in. You know, I have in the background, I don't know, you can probably not hear them, but the birds are chirping. So sweet. So sweet. Come in here into the shade where the temperature is just right. We have been having super warm days here in California and cold days and then rainy. So, you know, it's been hit and miss. But today is a super warm day as I am recording this, giving us a taste of the summer to come. When we got back from Spain, I meant to tell you last time that my garden had exploded. You know, when you go away and you come back 2 weeks later, you know, just how much change, especially in the month of March or April. It's just like the flowers and the plants just were all on steroids, because I came back and everything seemed to be 6 inches taller. All the flowers were blooming. When I was away, it was so funny. I made my son, who had come to take care of our house, and thank God he did not burn it down. He made a huge mess of it, but he kept my flowers watered. And I made him get on FaceTime with me and show me my flowers so I could say hello to them. I had a bunch of, and I don't even know if I pronounce them correctly, ranunculuses blooming, and I missed their blooms. So when I came home, they had all bloomed, but I had enough time to enjoy them while they were blooming. Okay, enough about gardening. Okay, I just, I find the gardening and weight mastery do kind of collide and align in so many ways, with the old and with the new, planting seeds, growth, so much growth. So I see things like thinking set points settling in, because the garden has a life, we have cycles in the garden, and I definitely see cycles in weight management, having worked with people now over 20 years and having struggled with my weight for years and years and years before that. And I've seen a lot recently with the winter to spring cycle. There's a big hump. Have you noticed that people have to go through? It's, we get a lot of energy up. We go through the holidays and we get off track, but then we get on track in January and there's a super focus. But then there's this kind of the next couple of months, it just feels really hard for a lot of people. It's that midwinter, the light is low, it's cold outside, don't want to exercise. So you really see that hump, and I do see mental cycles. I do see mental humps. So I wanted to bring out an episode from a few years back. It's a real time warp. It's perfect time for today. I mean, I said, I've got to bring that episode back because I think a lot of people will resonate with it. But I was looking at it, listening to it, and I was talking about my daughter who was at Berkeley at the time, and now she's graduated, and I was talking about my maintaining my ideal weight for 26 years, and now I'm almost at 30. So it was a few years back. But I think it's perfect for April and today because it addresses those 6 mental weight set points that I see so many people getting hung up with. Now, before I dive in, I want to invite you to a new series of live masterclasses called Mastering Your Mind for Lasting Weight Release. I'm running 8 live masterclasses, April 24th through April 27th. We're going to be doing 2 live masterclasses per day, so it's a real marathon. I'm really excited about it. I'm just really excited about sharing this with you. I love doing these classes, and so I hope you find one that works for you. If you're interested, go to www.shiftweightmastery.com/live to enter, or find the link in the show notes. If willpower alone worked, you would be at your goal weight already. So it's time to break through those subconscious patterns sabotaging you and learn how to take control of your mind so that you can break through that endless cycle of self-sabotage. I just got somebody writing me today. It's like, I know what to do. I have the best intentions in the world. Why do I keep sabotaging myself? And I read that and I'm like, you can. So come to my free masterclass. This is going to show you how to create that transformation. Plus, we're going to be doing an awesome hypnosis session. So www.shiftweightmastery.com/live. Okay, so now today's episode, I want to walk you through a new type of weight set point. So the old weight set point theory, right? You've heard of weight set points, I'm sure, a zillion times if you've struggled with your weight for any length of time. And if you don't know about the weight set point theory, the weight set point theory states that our bodies have a preset weight baseline hardwired into our DNA. According to this theory, our weight and how much it changes from that set point might be limited. The theory says that some of us have higher weight set points than others, and our bodies fight to stay within these ranges. So I am not trying to dispel the weight set point theory at all, but I do believe, like I said, I've been working in weight management for 20 years, that set point theory can sometimes be a more harmful idea than a helpful idea because it creates a lot of limiting beliefs for people in their ability to release weight. In my practice and programs over the years, I've seen many successful weight release journeys, and I've had clients sure that they could only lose a certain amount of weight before they could reach this set point and then struggle. But I found that usually these set points, instead of being physical set points, are actually more mental set points instead. And when a person's mind is in the right place, they can blow past their old dusty set points. Myself included, there was a weight for many years that I didn't think I could get below. But once I really got my mind in the right place, and I stopped believing that my body is broken, because many of us who struggle with our weight believe our body is broken. Our body can actually do quite extraordinary things, within the laws of physics and the laws of reason, of course. But I do believe that there's so many things and beliefs and mythologies out there that set us up for struggle rather than success. So I want to get into some mental weight set points that I see time and time again that get in people's ways of achieving their ideal weight. And I'm going to go in kind of order of how I see them happen. Okay. And again, these mental weight set points are just guidelines for you. There are many, many more that I might not get into here today, but the real point I'm making is that if you are stuck, and I do believe that people have struggle points in their weight release journeys, and that's often where we, get stuck with our weight and then we go back to the beginning, or we start over, or we get off track. Most of these struggle points are absolutely mental and environmental rather than physical. Although I'm not discounting physical, but I'm just saying, I think if we look more deeply past this idea that my body is broken and that's why I'm struggling, that we can actually start to get successful results and blow past these struggle points. So one mental weight set point I see a lot of people, a trap that a lot of people fall into, is I deserve a reward. And usually that is one of the first and most seductive mental weight set points. How many of you out there, now be honest, have, either released some weight and gotten on the scale and been down 5 pounds and been like, woohoo, I've lost weight, let's go celebrate and eat something. Or we, have a really focused week where we're really good and the eating's really pristine. And then, on the weekend or after a couple of weeks, it's like, I've been so good, I'm just going to let loose and give myself a reward. And then, of course, that reward or that celebration ends up to more eating, and then we end up, getting off track. So here's the thing, how do we blow past this I deserve a reward thing or set point? Well, when we struggle with our weight, we associate weight loss with deprivation, right? Like, and pulling it together and being good. And this creates a natural tension that builds more and more that, needs to be released. And this becomes a habit. Being good, then being bad. Then being good, then being bad. And there is a payoff to being bad in that we get that release and our brain gets used to that. It's a release. The brain likes that. The dopamine center in the brain is like, woohoo, a release. The problem is that dopamine center in the brain doesn't realize that a few hours later, we're going to be incredibly regretful and feel like, what did I do? I worked so hard to lose those 5 pounds, and now I'm back at the starting point. So, instead of approaching weight loss from this idea of like pulling it together and being good, or this idea of deprivation, really successful long-term weight management journeys start as a journey. So I want you to start to think of your weight management journey as a road that you are traveling on. That's a very powerful journey that you have embarked upon and you've really committed to. And this is a journey of transformation. So it just isn't about weight, but it is about transforming your life, transforming the way you think about yourself, transforming how you show up for yourself and communicate with yourself. So within that is a huge reward in and of itself. I think once you are really powerfully on a journey of weight mastery, the food piece doesn't become about deprivation. It becomes about really creating a way of eating that allows you to release weight but also feel like you're living your life. I think often when we get into really restrictive ways of eating, then it's the boomerang effect. You really want to create a way of eating that empowers you and makes you feel like, I love this. This makes me feel healthy and vital, but also has room for, eating things that like some dessert or, some treats, so you aren't feeling like it's this all or nothing mentality. And also, but we don't want to use those foods, or I certainly don't think that food should be a reward for hitting milestones on your journey. So when you're on your journey of weight mastery, it isn't about just weight loss, but like I said, it's a journey, and journeys have milestones. I think about right now, my daughter is in college up in Northern California. I live in LA. She lives in Berkeley. And I just took her back. We had a little mother-daughter road trip this summer up to take her back to school so she could do her internship for the summer. And I have driven on that road now. It's the I-5. For those of you who live in California, you know what I'm talking about. It's some of the most boring roadside, like literally through barren. Well, not barren. It can be beautiful. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, but when it gets to be this time of year, the hills are just basically, brown and dead. And so it's not the most scenic journey. But there are milestones. We get over the grapevine. That's a milestone. We get, halfway through, there's this little town we usually pull over and get a cup of coffee because it's about the time we're getting tired. And, so we have these little milestones now kind of worn into our trip up north. And, journeys have milestones. And I certainly think that you should create milestones on your journey. I have a client right now who's released about 60 pounds so far. He has a little ways left to go, about another 40 pounds. But man, this guy is stoked. And he, who says stoked anymore? Where did that come from? But, he's super excited because he's been releasing weight consistently. His mindset's very powerful. And he really looks at each 10 pounds as a decade. He's like, I'm visualizing being down in that next decade now, Rita. We're going, we're doing it, right? And each decade, he kind of gives himself some sort of, like, I'm going to get, when I get down the next decade, I'm buying, he got himself an exercise bike, and then he got himself another piece. He got himself one of those like weight sets, So each decade he does reward himself, but he's rewarding himself with things that remind him of who he is on this journey, which is somebody who's getting healthier and fitter and really looking after himself, which I love. One of his rewards was going to go see his daughter, and she likes to work out. And, so it was, what he's doing is creating these rewards that are coming from this idea of what he's creating, and he's creating this healthier idea of himself on his journey of weight mastery. So promise yourself rewards that reinforce this powerful weight masterful you on the journey. And when you reach milestones, give yourself a reward, things like a workout outfit, or treat yourself to a class or a subscription. There's a lot of cool exercise apps that, are not that expensive, maybe, $20 a year or something, but that are really cool, nifty, different types of exercise. I'm thinking right now of somebody in our weight mastery group. She is really into this thing called eccentrics. If you like the idea of stretching and toning, but through stretching in a completely different way. She's in her 60s, and it's completely doing eccentrics has completely changed her body, and she invested in this on her journey as a milestone. And I think it's like $50 a year, but it's all these classes, and it's stretching and toning, and mobility and joint work. And I've done some of it now, and I just love it. I think it's so amazing. You do feel completely different. I got my husband to do it because he plays tennis, and he gets all achy, and we, I was like, honey, let's do our hamstrings with this eccentrics, and he felt so much better. So what I'm saying is look for rewards that remind you who you are on this journey and reinforce who you are and motivate you to keep moving forward towards those milestones. And when you get to bigger milestones, maybe you give yourself a weekend away, or you have your horoscope read. That's such a Southern California thing to do. I know for my birthday, my best friend and I are going to go get our horoscope done. She's got this guy who reads your horoscope for you. So, whatever, it's what you do. Or maybe you can get a puppy that you can go running with eventually. But or get a dog, an older dog from the pound or something that you can go running with, So think of things that are not food rewards, because you're not going backwards, you're moving forwards. I do think that it helps for you to decide on these things a little bit ahead of time, what your milestones are, what your rewards are, because they can be very self-motivating. And it's a term that we use in hypnotherapy called future pacing. You're kind of walking your brain through where you want to go in your future, and that gets your brain excited and used to the idea. Okay, which brings me to the next mental set point, which is when we are feeling less pain. Feeling less pain. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that when we are struggling with our weight, when we feel overweight, when our pants aren't fitting us, when we get on the scale and we're up 10 pounds that we didn't expect to be, when we feel heavy and stuffed or out of control, we are in pain, right? That creates a lot of internal pain within us. So our inner critic is very loud. And we're upset with ourselves, and we're upset with the situation. There's a lot of pain, and pain is a great motivator. The problem is that often we will react out of that pain and, go on a diet. And again, the whole point of the diet isn't a long-term journey to weight mastery, but it's just to get out of the pain. And what will happen is we'll lose, 5, 10 pounds, doing pretty much anything, doing some crazy regime, or doing some quick fix, or, just pulling it together. But then we lose the weight, and then we get out of the pain. And this can be a really big set point, because guess what? We didn't really think past getting out of pain. We're just like, oh, holy crap, I'm up 10 pounds, or my pants don't fit in me anymore. I got to fix this. And we fix it by losing weight. But the problem is then we're out of the pain, and we typically will go back to our old ways and gain the weight back, or at least get stuck. So I don't know if you've ever heard, I've certainly said it here before, but maybe you haven't heard me say it, there is a great saying, which is the pain pushes until the vision pulls. So as you are on your weight mastery journey, one of the important things to have with you on your journey in your toolkit is your powerful vision of where you are going. And a vision is important to have, not just, where you're going weight-wise, but who you're becoming, right? Because for most of us, what we want to do in order to motivate ourselves to transform is to have a really clear idea of ourselves transformed. Who is it that we are becoming? We that idea gets born in our brain first, and then it percolates and grows like, a little chicken inside an egg, and it gets bigger and bigger until it finally manifests in the external world, right? So our vision isn't just this like, a picture of me in my mind, skinny. It is this idea of who you are becoming that you nurture and grow. And as you do, your mind gets more and more used to this idea, and you find yourself, inhabiting it more, and it pulls you forward towards your journey. And it also reminds you, see, the me 40 pounds up the scale was a completely different me than the 40 pounds down the scale. And as I continued past my pain point and into my vision, I was always reminding myself, like, would the person 40 pounds down the scale, living her life at our ideal weight, make that decision of, going to the party and overeating? Probably not. And so a lot of my decision making came from that vision that I was living into. Does that make sense? I certainly know now I have, always had visions and plans for shift weight mastery and for my smoking cessation business, and I certainly have visions of where I want to go and the reach I want to have and the impact I want to make, and that helps me stay with it when things get tough. And for any of those of you who are in business or own your own business, things get tough. I certainly, had some crossroads this summer, but, because I have a vision of where I'm going, I was like, well, those tough times fit into this bigger vision of myself and where I'm going, and growing pains certainly do occur. And, growing pains occur on journeys of weight mastery. So you've got to have that vision. So let's just take a moment, except for those of you who are driving and listening to this podcast, take a moment and just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And let's just work on your vision a little bit. Maybe you already have one. If you don't, let's start to percolate one a little bit. Just imagine an image of yourself up on a screen, so like just imagine you're in a very, like a movie theater, and you see yourself up on a screen out in your future at your ideal weight. And on this movie screen, it's sort of a magical movie screen because you look the way you want to look. And if you can't exactly see that yet, be patient with that and keep working on that. If you can't see yourself at your ideal weight, maybe imagine what you would look like at one of your milestones, maybe 10 pounds, 20 pounds down the scale, something that just is motivating for you. And what are you wearing in this vision? So see yourself on that screen wearing what you would wear, and what are you doing? And again, maybe the you in your future ideal vision is doing something different that you would normally be doing today, or maybe you're doing exactly what you were doing today, but you just feel more transformed. You look more transformed. Maybe you're with your family, maybe you're with your friends, maybe you're by yourself, maybe you're hiking in the Himalayas. I mean, just go for it. Think of something that really is inspiring for you. Who are you with? Are you with anybody? Are you on your own? What are you doing? And associate it with a bigger why. Like, why are you on this journey? Maybe you're on this journey for health. Maybe you're on this journey for confidence. Maybe you're on your journey for weight, or, all of the above. But connect that to that why. So if you're in it for health, see yourself looking healthy and vital, lean and strong. See yourself looking confident. See yourself at that weight that makes you feel and, like look and feel fantastic. Are you in this for your freedom from the frustration? I know certainly for me, freedom is a huge motivator for even maintaining my weight. So now allow your vision to feast your soul and just inspire you into the future. And just now, as you see yourself on the screen, looking the way you want to look, step into that image of you on the screen. So merge with that image of you on that screen and sit inside that yourself, at your ideal weight. So you're feeling yourself from the inside out. You're feeling those clothes that you're wearing in your vision pressing against your skin, feeling yourself feeling light and toned and lean, feeling how confident you feel in your mind, feeling the health vibrating through your body, feeling how happy you are that you made this decision, that you pushed yourself past where you stop normally and moved forward. And just take a nice deep breath in and lock this vision in, locking it in as an internal blueprint, and open your eyes. And now just allow that vision to pull you forward. It's okay to have the pain. It's okay to start with the pain, but have that vision ready to pull you into your powerful future. Okay? So now the third mental set point. This is my favorite one, as you can tell because I'm saying it. This is my favorite. Is boredom. Boredom. Oh my gosh. Losing weight is boring. Oh my God, I'm so bored on this diet. Oh my God, it's boring. Same old, the same old food, the same old exercise, the same old routine. Do I hear this sometimes? Yes. So ironically, if you think about it, when we struggle with weight, we are usually, so when we are struggling, when we are not trying to lose weight, but when we are weight struggle mode, we are usually eating the same foods, doing the same thing over and over again, and feeling frustrated over and over again. And yet, weirdly, we don't consider it that boring. Maybe if you're really over it, you do, but you don't often think back and go, wow, struggling with weight is really boring. Eating all the same foods again and again, the pizza and the hamburgers and the and I know you might be eating a really healthy diet and still struggling with your weight. So I'm not saying you're a junk food junkie, so forgive me. But, we struggle with the same foods in the same places in the same times typically, and those keep us in our weight struggles. So, we never think that eating that way is boring. We typically think of eating healthy as boring. We think of, so our brain tells us stories that keep us stuck. So you will know, now I'm not saying that if you are, what I do see a lot of people doing when they go into weight loss mode is they do very much limit what they're eating. I have that joke, chicken and broccoli and salads, right? And people are like, oh, I'm so tired of eating chicken and broccoli and salads. I'm like, okay, well, look, there's a crap load of other awesome food you can eat. We don't need to just eat chicken and broccoli. But for whatever reason, our old mindset just holds us in this sort of chicken and broccoli place. And we feel stuck and we feel like it's a boring place to be. When I work with smokers, it's really interesting because not so much anymore, but people used to think of smoking as rebellious, I'm a rebel and I'm cool and I like that cool mentality and that cool idea of myself. And I had a mentor once, I worked with this guy who, long story short, cool person, thought he was cool, quit smoking, thought that he missed cigarettes because they gave him his edge, and then realized that choking yourself with smoke is probably the least cool thing you could do, right? So, having that realization of oh yeah, smoking actually isn't rebellious. You're really rebelling against yourself, but we have these mythologies that we live by and they keep us stuck. So we got to start to poke holes in this boredom mythology. So one of the things that just, as a hint or something that you might want to look at is that we will know when we are starting to get bored. I certainly know when I'm starting to feel a little hemmed in to the foods I'm eating, when I start eating more of them. It's like the food itself isn't enough, so I feel like I need to eat more of it somehow, and that's going to make it better. And for years, because, I've been managing my weight for 26 years, or almost 26 years, that has always been an aha moment, oh, I'm eating more. That means I'm, getting a little tired of this. Let me liven up what I'm doing. And that's what I tell my clients. It's your responsibility to liven things up. for any of you who have been married for a long time, you know what I mean, right? You got to liven things up every once in a while, or else it gets pretty dull, around the marriage. It's like with anything that matters to you, it's your responsibility to keep it going, and you got to come at it from that versus being a victim of it. It's your opportunity. It isn't a prison sentence. So, something that helps me and many of my clients and students is to use the change of the season to bring in new flavors and tastes. For instance, we are coming into the autumn. So it's a great time to add spices, the pumpkin spice latte spice. You don't need to go out and get a latte, but you can bring those lovely spices into your food and cooking. The soups become more appealing this time of year. Salads don't cut the mustard as much. I always kind of laugh at eating salads in the middle of winter. I mean, because, I eat salads in winter sometimes, but I certainly don't eat as many salads as I do in the summer when it's hot outside, and that light, crispy lettuce feels a lot better in my body than in the freezing, frigid winter. Well, LA, that is not freezing and frigid, but it's relative, right? But in the cold of winter, salad isn't going to be. So, I rely more on things like vegetables and roasted vegetables, and so bring in new stuff. I had a client who challenged herself to try all the different types of squashes there are out there. Butternut squash. And she was telling me about all these squashes I had never heard of. And she'd slice them up and bake them and have them for breakfast. I mean, she just challenged herself and made it really fun. So that's what I'm saying. And also I want to point out that being healthy and releasing weight isn't boring. It's your interpretation of it that's boring. Take yourself back to that vision we worked with. That isn't boring, right? That's pretty damn exciting. What is boring is your interpretation. What is boring is you. Sorry, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean let's take responsibility and not be a victim of boring. Don't let that word haunt you and hem you in. I don't like losing weight. It's boring. This is an attitude is this an attitude that is going to get you to long-term weight mastery success? No. The word boring is boring, and it's an umbrella for a lot of different feelings, actually. Resistance, fatigue, I don't want to. Really notice when you use that word boring with yourself and go, I'm not going to allow myself to use that word. What's underneath this? What are the feelings underneath this? What's really going on underneath boring? And things will start to get pretty fascinating pretty quickly. Ask yourself, what is causing me to be stuck or bored right now? And again, you're usually up against something that is just waiting to be broken through. Boring actually means a breakthrough is waiting to happen. So when you get bored, get super curious. What's underneath the boredom? The answers will come, and let me tell you, they won't be boring. They will probably open up a door to the next level of your weight release journey. So ask yourself, how could I make this more fun, more challenging? You have to take responsibility for your journey. Okay, now mindset number 4, other people's reactions to our weight loss. So how can other people's reactions be a mental set point? Well, we are tribal people, and we want to fit into the tribe often. And people in your life may be supportive of your weight loss, but they may not. And when you reach a certain level of weight release, it may bring stuff up in them, for them, that you need to mentally adapt to and also perhaps help them work through, or at least work it through yourself about their attitude so that you can be okay with it. They might be afraid you are going to leave them, like a spouse. They might think, oh, you're now skinny and you look really healthy and beautiful, maybe they're afraid that you are going to go out and have an affair or cheat on them, or you're not like them anymore. They feel threatened. Your friends may feel like you have become different. They may think that you look sick and have lost weight too fast. They may think that you look just really great, and that really makes them jealous or envious. And they may try to sabotage you. So what people think about you in your weight is what they think about you and your weight is none of your business, but how you feel about them thinking about you and your weight is your business. And so you have to work with your inner coach to learn to stay focused, to learn to stay on your journey, what your vision is, and take care of yourself. And, it's hard because when we struggle with our weight, we typically tend to be people pleasers, right? And we don't like to rock the boat. We don't want people paying attention to us. So part of your weight journey, and this is why this is a real mental set point, is to be responsible to yourself and responsible to your journey. And, you will, if you have, challenges with other people, I suggest that you can go back and listen to my podcast called The Hamburger Technique, which is about asking, working with other people and getting them to support you. I think that would be a very helpful session for you to listen to. But this is a skill, really staying focused despite what other people may say. And, if they begin to sabotage you, the Hamburger Technique session, it's not that many, it's a few sessions back, will help you communicate powerfully with them. So you're giving and you're honoring them, but at the same time asking for what you need. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, this is the journey, is that you want to get support in your life. You want the people in your life to be supportive for you, but they're on their own journey with your weight mastery. And you've got, you do need to be sensitive to that, and you need to communicate about that with them so that they start to feel, that you're there for them. You need to reassure them, but you aren't responsible for their feelings, right? You can't make them not have those feelings. They're going to have the feelings that they're going to have. You need to stay on your side of the street, but you can, of course, let them know, I love you very much, and I am here for you. My journey is about getting healthy and getting strong, and I know you support me in that. So check out that other podcast if you're, if you are in a situation like this. But also, when you're coming from a place of inner strength and alignment, you have more resilience with whatever is going on in your atmosphere. And, if they're saying, oh, well, you look really sickly, like you've lost weight too quickly, that might be their interpretation. And that, it is true that when people release really quickly or release a significant amount of weight, our interpretation of that could be, because we are pack animals, and when an animal in the pack is sick, or gets small, that the animals all want to take care of the other animal, and our biological instinct is when somebody gets small, we interpret that as sick. I've had a number of clients who've lost significant amounts of weight, have people react in this way. And the irony is that, I had a client who released maybe 80 pounds, and people were saying, oh my gosh, you got to quit losing weight. You look way too skinny, you look way too sick. And yet they had probably 60 or 70 pounds left to release, but it was just everybody's interpretation. And when you are hearing things like that, it's a, it can really mess with your mindset. So you need to stay clear with your inner coach. Like, we've got our goals, We've got our process, we've got our operations. We're going to keep on keeping on, despite what people are saying. If we need to have a communication with them, then you do. You need to, like I said, part of this journey is communicating with yourself powerfully, but also learning to communicate with other people. But what they're saying, really ultimately, you have to have that little magical shield around you, and you want to take care of them and communicate powerfully, but their interpretation of you is their business, not your business. I hope this all makes sense. People will adapt to your transformation the more secure you are in it. And understand that the easiest way to get people on your team is to get them to be healthy too. If you have a bunch of unhealthy people in your life and you've all of a sudden decided to get healthy, they might feel like, oh my gosh, you're the health nut and, we don't like you anymore, whatever. But wouldn't it be awesome? And I have seen this happen again and again when somebody says, you know what, if you can't beat them, join them, get them to get healthy with you. You become the leader. You become the health leader in their lives. And I'm telling you, it turns communities around. You've got that power. Why not make it and take it now? Transform somebody else's life with your own transformational journey. When somebody goes on a journey of transformation, you are inspiring other people, even if they aren't telling you that you are. Okay? So, number 5, feelings coming up with weight loss, meaning feeling weaker and smaller, right? Weaker or smaller. So this is something I want to spend a little more time on in its own podcast again. Like, I don't want to dive too deep into this. This is a big subject. People feeling vulnerable when they release weight. But this is a mental set point. Many people, as they release weight, feel smaller, and smaller means more vulnerable. And that can be another set point. They have had challenges, maybe challenges in childhood where being bigger, like adding weight, made them feel safer. It was a buffer, or overeating was an emotional buffer, and then that became a weight buffer, and that was somehow a payoff for them. With the journey of weight mastery, we are focusing on our relationship with our inner coach, right? Like, the cornerstone of weight mastery is really developing an internal communication system that isn't critical or rebellious, but that is proactive and nurturing and scientific. And this inner coach is what I call the wise, loving adult within us, right? And really, it becomes our inner mentor. And as we release weight and become slimmer, a slimmer silhouette of our former selves, we need that inner adult part of us to remind us to remind that little child within us, because we also have our little inner child, that we're adults now, and that we can be powerful even when we are thin, that we can use words now. Maybe as children, we didn't have the words. We didn't have the ability to communicate, or we weren't listened to. Our words didn't have power, but now they do. And we don't need the weight to buffer us anymore. We can use our words as our strength and our confidence, and to believe in ourselves from the inside out. We don't need that weight as a buffer anymore. So now is the time to ask yourself, is it safe for me to be without my armor? What is real at this time in my life? It maybe was dangerous then, or hard then, or emotional then, but now it's different. So just take a moment to wonder, and really wonder what it is for you to feel comfortable using your powerful voice of your inner coach as your nurturing guide, shifting this old perception of you from weak into strong with your own inner boundary, your own self-care. The more you get comfortable inside your own mind, the safer you will feel in your lighter body, and you gain that inner trust and inner confidence. Okay, and we will tackle this more deeply in a later podcast. So now, the last one is the permission to be successful. That can be a set point. This is a big one. Sometimes we have struggled for so long, we are afraid of success. We don't know we can be successful, or what would it look like. Our mind stays stuck with what it knows. And we need to begin to stretch and expand our mind to our vision. Again, going back to that vision and that idea of weight mastery. Sometimes we feel guilty or silly having that vision. Sometimes we feel guilty or silly having weight loss as a big, bold goal. So give yourself bold permission to create this in your mind first, and then build it into your reality on your journey. So like when we struggle, we live in a house of struggle, and it's a place, like it's a world that we have, that world of struggling with ourselves, struggling with our weight, beating ourselves up all the time and feeling really hopeless and feeling incompetent. So now it's time to live in the house of mastery, but we got to build the house. You got to build a foundation, and that foundation is built on your identity, and your identity as a powerful creator of your weight mastery, a powerful apprentice of the skills of weight mastery. It's like you're opening that door, you're building that house. And in your imagination, step into this new place. It's not like you're taking stuff away, you're creating something new. And spend time in that vision of yours. And in that vision, be grateful. Be grateful like it's already happened. Be grateful in that vision like, oh, wow, I'm so grateful to have been on my journey of weight mastery and have achieved my ideal weight. I'm so grateful that I feel so confident and powerful. I feel so grateful that I've healed my relationship with food and I have a wonderful way of eating that I love. I'm so grateful, because what that does in your mind is it opens your mind up to that. Because if we just are starting with our world of struggle and just hoping that we're going to push past that, you're not. You've got to get that mind of yours engaged in creating where you want to go first, and then manifesting that. And I don't mean that in a woo-woo way. I mean that in a pragmatic and practical way. Anything that you've really created for yourself in your life, you've definitely started in your mind. So get comfortable with that feeling of being at your ideal weight long term. It actually does take getting comfortable and safe and strong with it and giving yourself permission. So let's do that. Let's do that now. Just repeat after me, and you can say this inside your own mind. I give myself permission to leave the weight struggle behind and to live my life of weight mastery. Just repeat that. I give myself permission to leave the weight struggle behind and to live my life of weight mastery. Good. And again, I give myself permission to leave the weight struggle behind and live my life of weight mastery. And again, I give myself permission to leave the weight struggle behind and live my life of weight mastery. Good. Great job. Now, there are other mental set points, like I said, but I hope that the 6 that we covered today gave you some insights on how to bust through them. Look, we've got a choice here. We can keep going on that same merry-go-round over and over again, being good, being bad, struggle, 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 or we can start to use our mind powerfully to bust through these old set points and to create that powerful journey. And really, most importantly, create that powerful you inside your own mind.
All right, that's all, folks. And if you want to dive deeper into what holds us back from our ideal weight and also want a really great weight loss hypnosis session, make sure you sign up for my free masterclass. Like I said, the link is in the show notes. Go check it out. Have an amazing week. And remember, the key, and probably the only key to unlocking the door of the weight struggle, is inside you. So keep listening and find it. And I will see you all here this time.
Thanks for listening to the Thin Thinking Podcast. Did that episode go by way too fast for you? If so, and you want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release, head on over to www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you'll find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss, and to learn how to subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode.